Right, we are now back again to find the solutions to a polynomial equation. Now, in this case, we're going to use a calculator to help because sometimes our solutions might or might not be a decimal or a radical number. So let's take a look. On example 3, on page 21 of our notes, it says find all the real solutions of the equation x cubed minus 8x squared plus 11x plus 20 equals 0. Notice that it is equals to 0, so we don't have to mess with the equation. So now what we're going to do is we're going to graph this, right? This is the graph. We're going to use this graph to find one factor. A factor actually comes from your 0. So in this case, it is this, this, or this. There are 3 zeros on there, and we're going to use one of them as a factor. So let's use that one. It looks like it's at x equals to -1. So here is a factor. Here's how we're going to find it. We're going to say, well, it comes from x equals to -1. So instead of keeping it as an x equal as a solution, we're going to go back one step. I want to make it equal to 0. In order to do that, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So we have x plus 1 equals 0. And this is one of my factor. Right, now that I know one of the factor is x plus 1, then it says, then divide and factor to find or verify all the other solutions. Now I know I already got this solution. I need to find the factors of these two solutions. So in order to do that, I am going to verify it by dividing, taking the polynomial, dividing by the factor that I was given. So I'm going to do long division on this one. I have x cubed minus 8x squared plus 11x plus 20 divided by x plus 1. So dividing, using what we learned about long division, this is going to give me x squared. That's going to give me x cubed minus 1x, plus 1x squared. Subtract. That's going to cancel out. -8 minus 1 is going to give me -9x squared. Pulls down the plus 11x. That's going to give me minus 9x. Gives me minus 9x squared. Minus 9x. Subtract. That's going to cancel that. 11 minus 9 is going to give me positive 20x. Pulls down the plus 20. And that's going to give me plus 20. 20x plus 20. And just as I expected, there is no remainder here because that is one of my solutions. Now, what that means is that I divided out that one factor. Now, I'm looking at just these two factors right there. I need to know what those factors are. So I'm going to take that solution and I'm going to factor this out. And in order to factor that completely, this one has 3 terms. That means I'm going to use an X box with it. If you feel comfortable enough factoring that you don't need to use an X box, please feel free to do so. So the top of the box is a times c, which is 20. The bottom is -9. So I need to find 2 numbers, multiply to get 20, add to get -9. That would be my -4 and -5. In the box, x squared goes in the first box, 20 goes in the last box, -4x, -5x. So that's going to give me x times x is x squared. X times negative 4 is going to give me negative 4x. X times negative 5 is going to give me negative 5x. So factoring this out, I get x minus 4 times x minus 5. And if I were to solve for the zeros, I know that x is equals to 4 and x is equals to 5. And if I'm checking, I can look. This is 1, 2, 3. That is definitely x equals to 4. And that x is definitely x equals to 5. So I just verified that both of these are solutions. Therefore, these two are factors. Don't forget my x plus 1 that I factored it out earlier by looking for the solution. So that's the complete factored out version of this equation. Now, if you notice, this equation actually is a 4-term equation. So you could try to do a factor by grouping, but it wouldn't work. Let me show you why. If I were to group it, I would have this. Then I would have x squared as the greatest common factor on the first one. Leaves me with x minus 8. And then I would have 11 and 20. I would have no greatest common factor, so I would have a plus 1. And that leaves me with 11x plus 20. And if you take a look at this, there is no common factor in these two terms. That's how I know, because there's no common factor, grouping does not work. And that's one of the reasons why I have to actually graph it and find out what one of the factor is. So let me write this down. Because this does not have a common factor, grouping will not work. Because this does not have a common factor, grouping will not work. So you have to graph it to find one of the factor.